Wow.
That was 4.5 years after moving to Nashville to chase this dream that I've had for a long time.
And then you and Luke continued, right?
Yeah, I mean, we did. I moved to Nashville September of 2015, and I started writing songs with him and other folks that were writing songs with him, and started to kind of grow this friendship and base of friends. And man, he just slowly started taking off. And I signed a publishing deal in 2016, so started writing for them, and man, just hoping for a chance, just that somebody would hear something I wrote and just believe in it. And the funny thing is, when I moved to Nashville, my dream was not to be a hit songwriter. Like, I wanted to travel the world, playing music, be the artist, sing the songs. Like stand on stage performing and singing. Like that was what I truly, truly loved. Man, the writing song thing was something that I got to Nashville and I was like, dang, God, you gave me the gift to do this. This is awesome. And I found this love of writing songs kind of once after I got there.
Was there a point, though? I'm going to steal your question with football players. Was there a point, though, where you went, wait a second, you just said, you didn't really know that wasn't the plan. Was there a point where you're like, I'm kind of like really freaking good at this?
Well, I mean, I think it went along the lines of, I was sitting across the room from a writer who I thought was really good, and multiple ones of those were going, dude, you're really good at this. And so it was just people that I thought were good telling me that I was good, and enough of that happens, you're like, okay, well, maybe I am, and I'll at least keep trying. But man, it's so hard to get somebody to listen to a song and believe in it. I mean, it's got to be good, and so like, you don't know until you know. I think until somebody's like, man, that's a good song, I'm gonna go record it.
Yeah, I've always had one of the things I want to do is I would love to see that creative process. Like, I want to sit in a studio and just watch.
Dude, he starts with a title.
Yeah.
He's got like one line, like raised upright. Like, where we grew up, people said, that boy was raised upright. And then writes a whole, explain that a little bit. He tried to explain.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to is I want to know, like, do you have a process?
I mean, I believe that every good song starts with a great idea. And so in my phone, I just have lines of ideas, just what ultimately is the title, and just trying to figure out the best way to do that. And people are like, well, what comes first, the music or the words? And like, I guess if you dissect it all the way down, I guess most of the time words come first. Sometimes people show up with a melody, but it kind of happens simultaneously, because I look at this title, these words or whatever, and you just look at it, you read it, and then you sing it, and you're like, well, how would I sing these words together? And you might sing it this way, and then you might start kind of messing with that or whatever. I mean, honestly, dude, it's what I do is an odd thing. It is odd.
No, I seriously, like, I've gone down.
I don't know how to explain.
No, I've gone down this.
Try to write a song?
No. I've just should. Really?
Because I listen to all these worship songs. I'm like, how hard is this? And then all I can do is like the Weird Al Yankovic. I'm like, oh wait, no, that's already a song. I'm just putting new words to it. You know what I mean? I can't. How do you make up a new song? It's like they're all out there. So
maybe this world needs a Christian Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah,
bro.
Cletus T. Judd.
That's right. Bro, it's so bad.
No, I'm super interested because I've seen a bunch of documentaries.
Yeah,
it's like the Axl Rose, Guns N' Roses, Sweet Child of Mine was like, I think the story is like, that's just what he used to warm up Slash. He just used that to warm up. And Axl Rose heard him warming up one day and wrote the song while he heard him warming up one day.
That's wild.
That's
my
favorite song of all time.
I know. And I heard this a long time ago, and then I saw something written about it. And then you start going down the rabbit hole of like how these processes, I just think it's so cool, man. It's like you're sitting there with an idea that is like, if we're being honest, there's some vulnerability in it, right?
For sure. The funny thing to me is I get asked a lot, what inspires you? Man, that's the hardest question to answer, because honestly, just other songs inspire me. to go, man, that's a good song. Let me write something as good as that. Or, I mean, occasionally I will experience some sort of life thing, you know, and start writing that. Now, the kind of, and we can dig into this maybe a little bit, but the journey I'm on now of like writing, you know, the Christian stuff, that is definitely like testimony stuff, right? But the country things that I still to this day show up and write nearly every day, those are just like, man, what's a different way for me to tell my wife I love her?
Yeah.
That she's never heard before, you know?
What's your latest number one song?
Stay Country or Die Trying,
Let's go.
Blake Shelton.
Mm.
That was that's like right
That
now.
was the reason it went number one in January. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
So he's this has been.
Well, I mean, you know, when we talk about Luke Combs now, we're talking about, I mean, generational.
Well, when we met, Lou Ramirez, Stephanie's husband that works on my team, works with him. Apparently he had been listening to sermons or whatever.
Yep.
And Steph was like, will you take this country artist to play golf? And I'm like, sure. And so then I was like, who is it? Drew Parker. I was like, hold on. I go through my phone and I was like, I got his albums, you know? And so I was like, yeah, this would be cool. And then I heard he was a Dogs fan. I was like, all right, so the hand of God's on this guy. This is good. Dude, this is the funniest part. So we're playing golf, man. We ain't never met.
I know where this is going.
PV course. Bro, I shot the lowest round I've ever shot in my entire life with him.
After he just told me, man, I ain't that good. And he starts playing lights out. And I'm like, this pastor done lied to me.
Honestly, bro, I was like, man, I ain't trying to jinx this. We're on like 15. I was like, I've never hit the ball like this in my entire life. Like, I don't think I missed a fairway or a green. I'm not kidding. It's not like I had like 8 lucky putts or
Yeah.
Anyway, so that, and then, so we played that morning, and that evening, he's opening for Luke Combs in Everbank.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so he did the artist thing. How many albums you got?
I put out a couple EPs. I put out one full-length album back in 2024. Yep. Yeah, I signed a record deal. So Homemade goes number one March of 2020. And then I put out my first kind of artist project in like September, October, maybe August of 2020. And I signed a record deal with Warner Music Nashville in November of 2020 to start chasing the artist thing.
Wow.
And even then, like the song The Truck, that's it, man. That's a good one. Raise Up Right. I mean, it's like old school country. It's not like poppy kind of radio country today.
Yeah.
I mean, you sound, if you didn't know, you sound like a 58-year-old smoker singing. You know what I mean?
Love that. 'Cause that's always what I wanted to sound like. Because that's what my favorite singer sounded like.
Which was?
I mean, like currently,
Highwayman and stuff?
well, Stapleton, like that grit. That's just the, you know. Or back in the day, there was this artist, Jason Michael Carroll.
Yeah.
And he would like sing, and he would have like this grunt thing going on, and I was like, man, that's cool.
But even then, you would still throw a hymn on the end of it.
Yeah.
What a day that will be.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
But dude, it's good. It's real good. And then now what you're writing, bro.
Yeah.
Because too much of the contemporary Christian stuff is too like sissy.
Yeah.
It just is too lovey-dovey and too soft and too weak.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have any like grit to it. You know what I mean? In fact, he comes here and works with our team writing songs, and it's funny to hear their feedback. They'll write some lovey-dovey junk, and he'd be like, bro.
I gave him a hard time the first time.
Like, what are we doing here, man? You got to sing something with some teeth to it, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
like blame Jesus.
Yeah.
you know, you tell my story all the time about Saturated and, you know, God just breaking me down. It was during a song.
Yeah. I think I've heard you say that because you show up like after the music.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I would get so mad, so mad at my wife if we walked in and they were still playing music. I'm like, I can't. Why are we early?
Love that.
Yeah. And then Saturated, just a song, He Won't Fail.
Yeah.
Just crushed me. And I say this all the time. I have no idea who spoke that night. I know what they spoke about. They actually spoke about worship music that night, but I don't remember who it was. I don't remember anything about them. So I say that to just say, like, I mean, these words, especially as you're getting into Christian music, like it's a sermon, right? It's the same impact a lot of times.
Yeah.
Let me give you a little theology of music, man.
Yes.
So if you go all the way back to Genesis 1 and 2 and the creation of all things, there's a rhythm to the creation. I mean, think about it. According to Genesis 1, why did God take 6 days to create everything? He could have just said everything and it would have all been there, but that's not what he does. So he creates the heavens and the earth. And then there's evening and then there's morning. And he puts in the sun and the moon, actually it's heaven and earth first. And then he separates the waters. This is what he does in the first 3 days. He creates the environments. And then days 4, 5, and 6, he fills the environments that he has created. And then there is evening and there is morning the next day. And there's this rhythm to it. And then he takes a day off. He rests. And then he creates humankind and invites us into that rhythm. And the very first thing that the Adam and Eve do is they rest in him, that he's going to be first, and then they're going to subdue and cultivate. And I think this is why things like, we are created with a heartbeat. Why did God make us with a heartbeat? And people love to sit on the beach and watch the waves come in. And people love the change of the seasons because there's rhythm to it. All right. And then all throughout the scriptures, singing matters. When Adam sees Eve, he breaks into song. That's why it's indented. And it says, well, at last, bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. He sings a song. And then God instructs us. I mean, there's a whole book of the Bible called Psalms, and it's an instruction on how we are to sing to God. And I think there's something about it, man. There's just places where mere words, there's some nooks and crannies it can't get into. But there's something about music that goes deeper than just the words.
Yeah.
And it has to do with the way God created us to live.
Yeah.
Good.
And so everybody worships, man.
Yeah.
Like everybody likes some kind of music.
Yeah. Yep.
And I have no biblical evidence of this. I've heard somebody say this, and so I'm asking you: can you think of a time where revival follows some sort of music event or something? I heard somebody say that recently, and the reason I bring it up is because of what the Lord is doing in country music specifically. I'm curious if the Lord is curating this country music revival that's about to happen that's going to find a way through country music. I have no evidence of that. I'm just curious.
I would say it this way. Every revival has always come with a soundtrack.
Yeah.
So it was worship and word together, always.
Yeah.
What is happening in country music? When you say that, what do you feel is happening?
Man, I don't know. I think
the biggest artists are Jesus.
They are, and they're being outspoken about it in a way that they never have been before. And man, I honestly feel like let's go.
Text me all the time.
Let's go. Love it.
Me too.
I feel like a lot of us. I mean, you got to think to go chase the dream of country music. I'll say country music. To go chase that dream, you kind of got to have some screws a little loose in your head, because I mean it's crazy. Like, especially once you get to Nashville and you go, holy smokes! I might have been the big fish in the little pond of my hometown, but
you ever pop into the honky tonks in Broadway?
Yeah, I love it.
So you're like, oh my God, everybody here is the best is the greatest singer, guitar player I've ever heard.
How do I not know who this
Every
person
one of them.
Yeah. You get there and you're like, okay, I ain't as good as I thought I was.
Yeah.
Dude,
but you stick around to keep trying to go after it. So you have this hope and you have this dream of this big thing, this big career. And for me, I mean, I set out on the journey of Nashville because I loved music. Like, I love country music. And I felt like I honestly felt like that's what God wanted for my life. And so I went running 100 miles an hour down this road. Well, you get down that road and you let the world start kind of shaping you into what it wants you to be in this lane that you've been put on. And so for me, I have such a hard time, and to this day, I'm the worst at like seeing a negative comment or something and just being like it. I get angry, like it angers me, and I get more angry now when I see like a negative comment towards someone else. But like, for somebody to go, you know, to read somebody say, I know him from my hometown or whatever, he'll never make it, blah, blah. So for me, it turned into, okay, this is my thing. This is what God's put me on. And then you start seeing those things and you go, oh, I'll show them. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
Well, how am I, as a guy like me, going to prove to them that I did make it? Well, in my head, the only way to prove that is to be rich and for the whole world to know your name.
Yep.
Like if I can have a ton of money and everybody know who I am, then I'll be able to prove to that person that I did make it. So then the thing that drives you is to become rich and to become famous. Well, then you start to get a little bit of those things and you go, this ain't it, man. There ain't nothing here. There's nothing. That's why, you know, I think now this is probably not theologically accurate, but so correct me, but I think there's two ways people encounter Christ: at the rock bottom or at the very, very top. Mm-hmm. Because at the very bottom, you're like, God, I need you right now because I cannot do anything else. And at the top, you're going, man, I've got everything I could ever want. There's got to be something else.
That's it.
Bro, you're so right. You're so right. You're so right. Because we tell my story on this and we talk about the rock bottom all the time. God came and got me there. What we don't say is that day we talk about in Saturated, I would have told you I was at the top of the top.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I was living the dream that I had set out for. We had just had our first top 5 pick. We were just like the whole thing, man. It was at like, wow. And that was what was so confusing about it is it was like, I think I'm good. And then it was God going, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Like, you're not. So I
humble you
100% agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it about? So when you get into something like country music or any type of art, right? You don't want to be normal, right? Yeah. Like normal's not good. Like
for sure.
You know what I mean? Like I've never met anybody in just about any business, but especially a creative business where normal equals success.
For sure. Well, and two, when you start noticing you are getting normal in the sense of, and what I would say normal is when you start chasing what the thing currently is. Like if I showed up today to write a Jelly Roll song or a Morgan Wallen song that sounds like what they sound like right now, like I'm behind. So I have to get abnormal and go down a lane that doesn't exist quite yet. Because if I'm writing what they're doing right now, that's not what they're going to want to sing in 12 or 18 months. Yep. They're going to want to be doing something a little different. And so you kind of have to be on the forefront of like, where are we going to send this genre next? Or in that capacity.
And take it one step deeper than that too, Drew, is been convicted a lot about this lately. It's like we spend all of our time trying to fit in a box, trying to fit into like normalcy as human beings, right? Like it's like, okay, well, I don't need to do that because that's different or that's weird. The more and more time that I sit around people who have had high levels of success and have come to know that Jesus is the reason, those are the same people that I think largely are called abnormal. They think differently. They're creative, right? They're like, and those are the people who like adapted with that and went with it, you know? And I think a lot of times, especially in the South, you get creative people and it's like, wait, that's not normal. Cause that's me.
Yeah.
That's me, just not in music.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Did you ever get any of that being in Georgia, being the guy that's writing music and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Well, it's definitely not cool. So you like covered up by being on the baseball team too.
Right. And that's what I'm getting to. Yeah.
For sure. Like,
when did you learn to just lean into that was a God-given gift and it was put in you?
You know, I really don't know. I mean, I feel like from I somewhat would live two different kind of lives. Like I love sports. Like I thought that I was going to go pitch in college and but I also loved music. And so like, I struggled with do I skip baseball practice to go do this thing, or do I go do this thing? Because I don't want my friends to know that I'm, playing music or whatever. So I don't know when it became this over that. I will say there was a guy that worked with my dad, and he had heard that I was kind of back and forth on, am I going to keep going after baseball or do this music thing? And he said something to me that I will never forget. His mom, growing up, was like, son, you need to go take piano lessons. And he was like, I ain't doing that. That's weird. Or, people think I'm weird or crazy or that's not cool. He said, I'm playing baseball, Mom. And he said, I spent my whole life playing baseball. And he goes, man, here I am, 62 years old. If I'd have just gone and took that piano lesson, he said, I could go sit and play you a song right now. He said, if I tried to throw a baseball right now, my arm would fall off. My arm would fall off. And so I was like, man, that makes a bunch of sense. And dude, it was kind of in that moment, I was like, I think I think I was mature enough to go, I mean, the chances of me being able to ever pay my bills playing baseball is slim, like the slimmest. Now, I was naive enough. I was not, I was too naive to know that the same is in the music business as well.
Yeah,
dude. If I knew what I know now, I don't know that I would ever move there. I mean, it's tough, But no, I think I think the Lord impressed on my heart back then that it was just kind of the gift that He had put in me to do, and I kind of saw a path to do it. And I was willing to work hard enough. And I thought that I was better at that than I was at baseball ultimately. So
was there a time where you almost quit?
Yeah. I mean, the fact thinking about, moving away. I mean, dude, you grew up in my small town, you don't move away. Like you don't get out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You go work for the power company and you start digging ditches or something, Mm-hmm. Like you don't move out of my small town. That's just not what you do. You can dream all you want to, but like acting on that dream, it's just not something that happens.
Right.
And so like that was like enough for me to go, man, I don't know if I'll do this. And I feel like I woke up one day and I was like, what am I doing? I keep telling myself one day I'll get there. One day I'll move to Nashville. And I said here, and I at the time I was like probably 23 or 24. And I was like, I've been saying that for 3 years. Mm-hmm. It ain't going to happen unless I get up and do something about it.
Were you married?
No.
So
but
you meet her in Nashville? No,
we're from the same hometown. Me and my wife met, like our second date was the night I met Luke Combs.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. Was that night. She went with me up there. And so we started dating. I had told her like, hey, I don't know how to tell you this, but I am going to Nashville. I'm getting there at some point. Like, if you want this to work, like, you're just going to have to understand that's, I have to go do this. And I had woke up this random morning and I was like, I've got to do something about this. If I'm going to do it, I've got to, take the step forward to do it. And I do not want to wake up when I'm 35 and just go, man, what if I'd have done it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm. What if I would have done it? Mm-hmm. And here I sit at 35 and dude, I'm so glad I did it. I at least know, you know what I mean? And now I will say 10, 11, 12 years ago when I had that thought, again, I had it drawn up differently in my head of where I would be right now. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. I'm so thankful for where God's brought me to. Oh, yeah. I mean, if people know her well enough, she's definitely not one to move out of the small town. I mean, she is like, daddy's girl, like just going to stay there kind of thing. And we laugh about that all the time. Like of all her friends from back home, I mean, she would have never won the superlative of most likely to move away from a small town. You know what I mean? Yeah. She would have never. And so, but yeah, man, she's been so supportive, allowed me to, chase a crazy dream. And dude, she paid our bills. I spent years not making any money, like ever. And, but dude, she kept believing in me, kept betting on me and just kept encouraging me. Now it's hard. I will say it was hard for her to understand, like, when I wasn't making any money, that it was more than a hobby.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was kind of tough,
Yeah.
because you're not paying any bills from going and playing these shows. But like, that's just what you had to do. You're just paving away and making a way and just scratching and crawling for somebody to take notice.
So
Yeah, oftentimes the difference between fear and faith, man, is you let the what ifs be bigger than the but what about,
For sure.
and you just decide which one you're going to lean into. The why not?
Yeah.
Why not me? Why not now?
That's why it's important to surround yourself with people who can also encourage you into, man, what if though? Like,
that's so true.
instead of like,
Oh, that's so true.
what if you don't?
Because if American Idol told us anything, some people need friends to be like, I don't think this is God's plan for you.
For sure. But dude, and to that point, I believe that everybody on this earth has that thing in them.
No doubt.
100.
I think everybody, what do they say, you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life or whatever. But like, I think there's people
That's
that
not
love
true, by the way. That's not true.
You got to work really hard to get to do what you love.
Yeah, I
You
love
do.
what I do, but every single day's work. Like,
It is.
Yes, that's
But like at the same time, I think everybody has this thing in them where they're like, man, I want to do that. Go do it.
Yep.
Go after it.
Yep.
Like, you'll never know unless you go find out.
Yeah.
And if you work hard enough, you will get there. Again, that's where the work part comes in.
So you move to Nashville, you start writing,
Yep.
you get a number one song, that elevates you.
Yep.
You and Luke's relationship continue to grow and grow.
Yep.
You start writing your own stuff, singing your own stuff.
Yep.
Then you sign a record deal.
Yep.
Start putting out albums, EPs and albums. Start touring, like big touring.
Yeah.
Huge fan base.
Yeah. I mean, I was growing a fan base. I was doing these small headline shows. I was getting support slots on Cody Johnson, Luke Combs. I mean, the list. I mean, I could keep naming artists, but I mean, I got to play a weekend of shows with Willie Nelson. I mean,
Shut
of all
the front
people.
door.
Yeah. I mean, the artist that honestly is my dad's favorite artist. So Willie Nelson was in my house all the time, right? Like being played. And so got to go do that and got to invite my dad out and got to sing a song with Willie Nelson on stage. Like, I mean, I was like doing the thing,
Yeah, you played Everbank Stadium.
I did. Got to play the Grand Ole Opry.
Well, how many times?
Probably 8 or 9 at this point.
wow.
And got to play the Ryman, and had some hits with Luke. I wrote a song with Luke that Brooks and Dunn sang on, so I got to hear them sing a song I wrote. Wrote some other big songs for Luke, and one of them ended up getting nominated for a Grammy, Best Country Song of the Year at the Grammys. Anyway, I tell you all this to say a song called "Doing This,"
Okay.
which that song is kind of goes into this whole story to me, because the song says, I'd still be doing this if I wasn't doing this. It might just look different. And the whole premise was like, the story of the song is somebody asking Luke, he used to get asked in interviews all the time, if you didn't do music, what would you be doing? And his answer was always, well, I'd still be doing this. It would look different. It might be on a different level. Right. And so that song gets nominated for a Grammy. I'm playing a songwriters round not long after that. And dude, I'm sitting on stage and I'm like telling the story of the song, how it's number one and got nominated for a Grammy, did this. And dude, I'm not kidding you. God just like smacks me in the head. And he's like, you going to tell these folks that you get to do this because of the gifts and talents that I gave you? Or are you going to like keep talking about all the things that you got to do because of it? You know what I mean? Got to go to LA, whatever, all this. And I'm like, it was as real of a moment as I've ever had in my life. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so from that day on, I was like, I will never like miss an opportunity to, at least tell these folks about Jesus and that I get to do this because of the gifts and talents that God's given me to allow me to do this and paved the way. Now, it didn't come without a lot of work, there's also a lot of cool things that came along with it, but that's not the purpose of it. Like, I get to do this because of that. And so that kind of started to happen. I started, and I've been a believer, for my whole life. I mean, technically, you know what I mean? I was saved at a very young age, and but my sanctification process has been really long, and
Amen.
So but the Lord began to work in my life, and I didn't know it at the time, and that was probably in 2023 that happened, and I began I was like, man, I kind of was at that place of like, there's got to be more than this in a way of like, I was going to church on Sunday, but like, I just knew that I wasn't living up to what God wanted for me. And I was a new dad, and I'm like, man, this is not what being a dad is. I'm not being a good husband.
This is about like when we're meeting.
Almost.
A little bit after that.
Almost, yep. But the Lord began to kind of stir something inside of me. And so 2023, I go to Europe, have some conversations in Europe about God. And again, Lord's working on me. Some questions were brought up in Europe from some friends of mine. And I didn't know the playbook, so I couldn't give them an answer. And I felt, honestly, I caught kind of with my pants. Felt like I was caught with my pants down, because here I am. They're asking me for these answers, and they think that I'm supposed to be the guy with them, and I can't. And so I get back home, and I'm like, God, I will never be put in that situation. And so I start digging into the Word, like really, like reading the Bible, like for real, reading the Bible, journaling, and 2024, I'm on stadium tour with Luke Combs, and God began to put these men in my life. Why? Well, I mean, I know now why, but at the time, I'm like, I didn't even see that God was putting them in my life for a reason. It was just like, oh, dang, the men's pastor at my church wants to go for coffee, And well, then we started meeting for coffee on every Monday, and it just one thing turned into another. And then I had just read If the Tomb is Empty, and come to play at Everbank on the Luke Combs Stadium tour. Joby takes me golfing. He's like, the next week, he's like, man, I'd love to disciple you. So now the Lord's put Joby in my life, and he just began to put men like in my life. Why I didn't know at the time. And then ultimately, I'm on that stadium tour. I mean, that year it was, aside from Taylor Swift, it was probably the biggest tour in the world that year. And man, I would play my 30 minutes of shows on that stage every weekend. And I mean, for 30 minutes, I was having the absolute time of my life. But man, I'd get back in that green room and get on that bus at night, and I'd be like, how is this not, how am I not still like on cloud 10,000? I just played to thousands of people.
Right.
Like what is missing? And I just kept sensing like something wasn't right. And dude, but the thing is I knew what it was the whole time, because anytime that I was in the presence of the Lord and felt the Holy Spirit, I just knew he was trying to get me to do something else. But I just kept going, God, well, you go have to wait till I make some more money. I need my own artist as an artist. I need my own hit song. Like once I go get those things, then I promise you. And dude, I kept doing that over and over and over and over and over. And dude, finally, all that's going on. And I'm like, I mean, I'm kind of reaching these things, and I'm still not surrendering this part of my life. And so, anyway, I ultimately, that tour is over. And then December of 2024, I'm at my church in Nashville. And my pastor's preaching. I can't remember exactly what he was preaching on, but
Robbie Gallaty.
Yep, Robbie Gallaty.
He's a stud. He's preaching Saturated this year.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Awesome.
He's about 7. He's Goliath.
He is. He's
really
a big man.
Biggest man you've ever seen.
He's preaching, and he just gets done, and I'm like, I felt that same thing I'd been feeling for probably at this point 12 to 18 months. And I'm like, all right, God, I do not know what you want from me, but I sense it's not where I'm at and what I'm doing right now. And I'm ready to do what you want me to do. I'm done doing it my way. Like, it's your way. Like, but I don't know what you want me to do. For me to do what you want me to do, you're going to have to tell me, and you're going to have to tell me you might as well meet me face to face and tell me straight to my face what you need me to do. I'm ready to do it, but you're going to have to tell me in a way I can't deny. No questions to be asked. Like, tell me what you want
asked
from
it
me.
that way.
I did.
Yeah.
Amen.
Like through snot and tears, right?
Yeah. My wife was sick at home. I was at church this Sunday morning by myself. And dude, I'm just like, amen. That was it. Go about the rest of my week. That was on Sunday morning. Friday, I think December 6th, me and my wife were out Christmas shopping. And I had July of 2024, I had put out a full length record. And my label had just sent a song back to country radio. So, we're like, we're about to do it. Mm-hmm. I finally go get that thing. And I had just told my wife for some reason that Friday morning, hey, if the single, it was a song called Love the Leaving. I said, if the single doesn't work, I think I'm done. Like, if they decide that I was like, I'm just done with having a record deal. I think I'm going to ask out of my record deal. And she was like, okay. And I'm not kidding you. 5 to 10 minutes later, my manager, who's been my manager for over 10 years now, he also manages Luke Combs. Tons of the big acts in Nashville. I think him and Luke Combs all met the same night. Or right there in the same time period. Anyway, he's been my manager for 10 years. His name's Chris Cappy, unbeliever. Mm-hmm. Okay. Like, skeptic at best. Like, if he said Jesus or God, it was not in a nice way, right?
Right.
So he's like, text me. He's like, can I call you? And I'm like, yeah. So he calls me, and he goes, man, I know country music's your dream. Like, you've worked so hard at it for the last X amount of years, and we've worked hard at it together, and you got this record out with Warner, and like, you busted your butt. He's just rambling. And I'm like, why is he beating around the bush? And in my head, I'm kind of like, he's about to drop me, which will also be an answer to my prayer that I just prayed.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
But that's not what happens. I go, Cappy, quit beating around the bush. I need you to tell me what you're trying to tell me. And he goes, man, I don't know how to tell you this, but for the last week, I've been waking up in the middle of the night at 3:00 in the morning, and there's this voice or something telling me that you're supposed to be a Christian artist and you're supposed to sing songs about Jesus. Brother, I cannot tell you what happened in my body. I literally start shaking. I start crying. I haven't said anything back. My wife I've got it on speakerphone. She hears the whole thing. My 6-month-old baby is in the back seat. Like, I am just crying like an infant. And I'm not responding. It's quiet on the phone. And I'm just like, what? Well, when I said that, he thought that he had made me angry. So he then goes, well, I didn't know. I didn't want to tell you. But I'm like, no. Cappy, you don't understand this, dude. I prayed a prayer 5 days ago that God would send me a sign that I'm supposed to do something different. And of all people, he sent you. Mm-hmm. You realize this is God doing this, right?
Through a dream.
And I'm like, man, dude, this is what? What? I'm like, Cappy, I prayed a prayer, man. I prayed and asked God. He's like, when did you say this prayer? I'm like, dude, this past Sunday morning at my church. And he's like, that's crazy, man. Sunday night's when I started waking up. And I'm like, what? And so, dude,
wow.
Literally with a song at country radio, whatever, the very next week, I asked out of my record deal.
Drew has no idea what we just talked about before this. But, literally very, very, very similar thing.
Yeah.
Very similar. Let's back up for a second.
Yeah.
I try to look for things where I feel like there's people can identify.
Yeah, please.
And you mentioned that you knew that this is what you needed to do for a while, mm-hmm. and that you kept kind of putting it on your terms.
For sure.
Right. I the way that I processed it as I was going through this was I would come to church and I would get really emotional, like right away. And initially it made me stop coming to church because I'm like, wait a second, I'm just going to come to church and cry.
Big baby.
like, I mean, I'm not talking about like just, a little tear streaming down here while you're singing. I'm talking about like, what am I crying for? Like, what is happening right now?
For sure.
And so I just quit coming to church for like 2 years. And then I came back and it was the exact same thing. And as you're saying that, I'm like, man, I was in the same place you were in because I felt it. I knew it. And I knew it was going to require a commitment on my part. I knew all the things. I didn't even need signs. I absolutely knew it, but I resisted it because, man, I have worked my whole entire life and I'm finally at this place that I feel like I'm supposed to be, like I work towards. And I think a lot of people can identify with.
For sure. I mean, this probably ain't the right way to say it, but I've heard somebody say this before, but like following Jesus is easy until you realize it actually costs you something.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Like it's easy to say, well, like in conversation, you're like, well, my great granddaddy was a deacon of the church. I'm like, you're not to truly follow, it's going to cost you something, right?
That's right.
But in all the right ways, like obedience is so hard to like lean into, like, because I knew for me to be obedient, it was going to cost me something. But the thing it was going to cost me was not something I was willing to give up. Let me go make some money. Let me go prove Susan in my small town like that she was wrong about what she said. And I can't do that unless I go do these things. And I'm more worried about proving Susan wrong than I am about pleasing God, right?
Comfort and the applause of man.
It is.
And I don't want to go home and I don't want to tell my wife that I'm about to make another change because like that's dangerous too. And I think that's a real thing. You mentioned your wife.
That is great. I've never thought that, but I did have those thoughts of like, dude, how am I going to tell her that for the last 10 years that she's bet on me to do this thing? I'm about to tell her I'm about to give it up.
Yep.
But I will say, when we first started meeting, you were like the easiest guy to disciple ever. Because, I told Gretchen, hey, we went to your concert. And I was like, all right, this is the guy I'm going to start discipling. And then after we have our first one, she's like, how'd that go? Because I've had a few interactions with some people on either stages or fields. And I was like, baby, this is the easiest thing I've ever done. He wants to know Jesus better. He wants to be obedient. And he wants to just be a good dad and love his wife more. Bro, this is like being the hitting coach at the All-Star game. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly.
Yeah.
So I would just ask some questions about what Jesus said the most important commandment is, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And I would just ask him about these things. That's all we were doing. And he's talking this. So when this all happens with Gallaty's sermon and Cappy calling him and the dream and the revelation and the cry, and then he just calls me on the phone. He said, man, you can believe this. This is what I think is happening. And so honestly, our previous guest, Tim Timberlake, had a vision, a dream that God gave him. And the first thing he did is called an older seasoned believer to be like, hey, let me run this by you. Am I crazy? Mm-hmm. And that's the first thing Drew did. He called me.
I did.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you told me?
I don't know.
You go, it was on a Friday. And so you go, have you watched my sermon from last night?
Oh, yeah.
That shirt.
Wait,
what? That's what that shirt is about, this conversation. I call him after Cappy calls me. I'm still crying. And I'm like, dude, I need to talk to you. He was walking through TSA. He was like, let me call you right back. Yeah. So he gets through TSA. I'm like, dude. And I told him that whole story. And he goes, you need to go watch my sermon from last night. And I'm like, all right. So I go and he's telling the story. This is he preached this the night before Cappy calls me on Friday. So this is Friday afternoon. I'm watching the sermon from the previous night. And he's like, oh God, I thought I could remember what the name of your sermon was. Anyway, he's talking about Peter's in the boat. And he was like, Peter's looking at Jesus and Jesus just says, come, right? And like Peter like gets out of the boat, but for a second he like doubts, right? And he sinks. And Joby is literally, I'm telling you, he's looking right into the camera and he's going, somebody right now, you're sitting in the boat, you're wondering what God's got for you. And God's looking at you and he's saying, just get out of the boat. Just get out of the boat. Some of you are sitting right there and you're too scared or whatever it is. Just get out of the boat. That's what that shirt's about. Well, it was like when I asked God that Sunday morning, God, send me a sign. Dude, he was like, sign. He's like just slapping me across the face, dude. I mean, because then the next Sunday morning, I'm back at church, Robbie's preaching about the parable of the talents.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like talking about how are you going to do with what God's given you for what God wants you to do with it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what in the world is happening right now? Mm-hmm. Like I could not make sense. And dude, in that moment, I was like, I wanted everybody who doubts that there is a God to have experienced and felt that's why I'm so passionate about this is like, because if somebody had that moment, dude, I'm telling you, there's no denying what I experienced could only have happened through God. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Do you think a lot of people have that moment, but they don't know it's that moment?
I don't know if they had the one I had.
No. What I mean by that is,
I think they have the pre-moment when you know that God's stirring something in you.
Yep.
But listen, all these people that like deconstruct from their faith, you know who ain't ever deconstructed? Peter would never deconstruct because he had breakfast with the resurrected Jesus. Mm-hmm. So regardless what he felt like, he knows that mm-hmm. that Jesus said, feed my sheep.
Mm-hmm.
But what you two did, what anybody that's surrendered, not just for salvation, but like, Lord, if you're my Lord, I'm going to do what you say to do. They would have stopped at the moment that y'all were talking about in the seat at church before laying it before the Lord and say, okay, here I am, send me.
Mm-hmm.
The people that get to that place, all right, Lord, whatever it is you're calling me to do, I'll do it. I mean, James, the brother of Jesus, makes this crazy promise in James 4:8. On behalf of God, he's speaking, and God says, draw near to me, and I will draw near to you. Because I've had those, the moment of my salvation, calling to ministry, to plant this church, they're undeniable. They're unexplainable. I don't know how you explain it to somebody, but they're undeniable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
C.S. Lewis says, I could no more deny Christ than I could deny the sun. It's not that I see it. I see everything by it. That's what this is.
What I meant by that too was like, I think for the longest time, I won't put this on other people, I'll say it for me. Like I was looking for that moment, but I was looking for that moment to fix up mistakes that I had made.
Mm.
Like, God, if you'll fix this, man, that's a sign. And that's just not how this works. That's just not how this works. And it took me doing exactly what you just said, Joby, is just saying, God, I don't know how this works, but like if you'll show me, then I will follow that step by step.
See, so many of us, it's like Matthew 10 when Jesus sends out the 12 and he says, don't take money, don't make a reservation, don't take an extra change of clothes. I'll take care of you on the way. Or like Peter in the boat. How you going to walk on water, Peter? It's like, I have no idea, but he told me to come out there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because if you wait till you got it all figured out, then what you don't need is you don't have to trust him because you got it all figured out. And that probably ain't him.
Yeah.
It's stepping out when you don't know. You know the direction he's called you to go. You just don't know how it's going to work out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what do you say? What you need is need.
That's what you need. That's right. That's blessed are the poor in spirit. And you'll be like, I ain't got this, Lord. I hear you calling me. And and it's not until your need exceeds your ego that you will bend your knee to Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to tell you something else that I hadn't even thought about this. I've never thought about this until just now. And I don't know if this is right or not. I want your opinion on this. When this all happened for me, I had an overwhelming feeling like there was some amazing things coming, but also had an overwhelming feeling that there was some stuff that I had to go through as well. My wife got cancer again for the third time, like shortly after. And that changed my prayers because I started to see how big this thing that God has called me to do actually is. And my prayer changed to just, hey, God, if I'm going to do this, I got to do this with her. Like, I just need you to heal her, because what's going to take me away from this is if she's taken from me.
Mm.
And that was like the only, what I'll say, qualifier prayer that I had. It was like, I will do anything, but I just need this. And I don't know if that's right or not, but man, like that changed my heart more than I think anything, you know? And it did, it just like, and here's the great thing is like, we're over 2 years now removed from her last cancer, and there's no sign.
Come on.
There's like, there's no sign, you know? But I remember listening to a sermon, you were saying that like, if you're praying these little weak prayers, like how much do you really believe? And I remember just saying that like, this is the biggest Goliath I have in my life. I don't have any control over. It's when I'm not thinking about serving Jesus, it's what I'm thinking about. In fact, I'm thinking about it too much. It's ruining my life. It's wrecking my life. And so, God, I just need you on this.
Yeah, I think that's a very God-honoring prayer because you got God's glory at the top of that prayer. Like, God, I want to glorify you. So I'm not saying if you heal her, then I'll do what you tell me to do. I'm telling you, in order for me to do this, from my perspective right here, it's what the two blind men say, Son of David, have mercy on us. That's it. It's not an if then. It's not a, we'll follow you if you'll heal us. That's not what they're saying. They're just like, God, we need your mercy. That's all they're asking. And it's a very God glorifying prayer to pray.
Doesn't everybody have that distraction? Like, isn't there my wife's cancer, isn't that to a lot of people just maybe just worded differently? It's a distraction that you need taken out of your life in order to follow Jesus?
Oftentimes, like in the book of Acts, several times, there will be a miracle happening or a prayer for a miracle that'll happen. And then there's a so that the world may know that you are the Lord God. That part matters a lot. Should we pray for healing? 100%. So that the Lord, so that the world may know that the Lord is God.
Right.
And that matters, like, because that's the actual driver, you know?
Yeah.
And it's good, of course, for your own. You love your wife, so you want her to be healed. You want to be married to her, so you want her to be healed. You want your kids to have a mama, you want her to be healed. But ultimately, all of those things, your marriage, your life, your family, is so that God may be glorified on this earth.
So now you're overnight a Christian artist.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, that's basically what it is.
Yeah, I mean, that next week I asked out of my record deal.
How'd that go?
Better than it's supposed to.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, why would it not have? You know what I mean? I mean, God orchestrated the whole thing. I mean, it took 9 months, but like, it went exactly how God orchestrated it to go. I mean, I got out of my record deal, and that whole kind of 9 months, I was, started writing this, Christian country music.
Christian music is not the right category. I don't know how to.
I don't know. It's country music. Core, yeah, it is country music,
but it is.
It's
like gospel saturated.
Yeah.
Talking about Christ crucified. I mean, it is
right. I've heard
ballsy, gutsy.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we need more of it, bro. Dude, you send me all these songs. How come these aren't all over?
I don't know. I gotta put them out.
How did that change your writing process?
I mean, dude, let me go back a little bit, because I used to make this excuse when I thought that God was kind of stirring this in my heart, and God started putting the Jobys and the men's pastor at my church, Wilmore, put him in my life. I remember either Will or this other guy named Gator going like, when are you going to like write some Christian music? And dude, I would make this is the most pitiful thing I've ever said in my life, probably. I would go, why would I try to rewrite a story that's already been written? I would say that. Like, why would I dare? I would literally make an excuse of like, I'm not going to do that because I can't write it better. And like, that was just my way of, saying, well, I don't have to do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, I started writing this stuff, dude. And I mean, I still write it from a country headspace in the place of like, I love like a good, like, play on words. And so the first idea after all this happened, the first idea that the Lord kind of gave me, was called Weight of the World. And I got to thinking, like, if you could put the weight of the world, like all the shame, the guilt, sin, everything that we carry as men, I mean, that's kind of what this idea was kind of geared around for me. Because I think we as men, we try to carry all these things ourselves, right? If you could put all those things on a scale and it weighed down the scale, what's the only thing that's going to balance it out? Like if it, or if you put it on a scale and it weighed 250 pounds, what else weighs 250 pounds? The cross. Like the cross was the weight of the world. So when Jesus is carrying the cross up Golgotha, if that cross weighed 250 pounds, that's what the weight of the world weighs. Because he carried it already for us so that we don't have to carry it. And then they put it in the ground and he hung on it and he died for it, right? And so that was that idea was in my head and I'm like, man, I got to figure out a way to put that in a song. And so I wrote this song called Weight of the World. That was the first song I wrote after kind of the Lord called me into this new direction. And it just says the weight of the world on the back of a man, carried up a hill. Heaven stood still and watched the blood spill from his hands. On that cross, he went through hell. So I sing a song of praise to the one. So I sing a song of praise to the one who took the one and took away the weight of the world. Like to the one who died and took away the weight of the world. Like that's, and so that was the first song I wrote. But man, it's been so much fun to dig into this new journey. And dude, to see what God's doing. And the other thing too is like, I feel like, yes, God is using me as the tool, as the instrument to do this, but I am so like, just do the work and then stand back and watch what God does and just be obedient to what I think he's asking me to do in this moment. It's probably not the right thing to say, but the pressure's on God because I feel like I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Like I blame Jesus, which is, that's the song I put out. That was the first one I wrote and I was like, this needs to be the first song that people hear from me because it's my testimony. Like I was this, I ain't that no more, and I can't take credit for it. You can blame Jesus. Like if you don't like, if what you're looking at now, it ain't who I was, and if you don't like it, you can blame Jesus because I've got nothing to do with it. He's changed my life. And so I just thought that should be the first song. And so I put that one out. I've got a collaborative version that's going to be coming out later this year that I'm super excited for people to find out when it comes out. It's not done yet, so I don't want to say it because it may never happen. Right. But
you're gonna say it when we quit recording.
I'll say it when we quit recording. Yeah. I don't want to jinx it that it may not happen.
So anyway, when you say the pressure's on God, let's go back to Peter in the boat.
Yeah.
So Peter, see, this goes back to what we've been teaching in Matthew. When you become a Talmudim of a rabbi, you don't just learn what they teach, but you become who they are. So Peter's like, if that's really you and you call me to follow you, I'm supposed to follow you and you're out there. So why don't you call me out there with you? And Jesus says, come on. And so he steps out of the boat. So gets over his fear, gets over his what everybody thinks, gets over his comfort, hadn't figured it out. But Jesus said, I can do it, so I'm going to do it. So he gets out. He's walking on the water. His eyes are fixed on Jesus. He's walking on the water. He takes his eyes off Jesus, focuses on his circumstances, the wind and the waves. He's afraid. He begins to sink. Cries out, Lord, save me. Immediately, Jesus reaches out his hand, picks him up, puts him back in the boat. The storm calms. And then Jesus looks at Peter and says, you have little faith. Why did you doubt? Now, pop question. What was Peter doubting? Did he doubt Jesus? Jesus wasn't sinking. He doubted that he could do what Jesus told him to do. Mm-hmm. Like, we believe in Jesus, as we should. You ever realize that if Jesus called you something, he believes in you? Because it's not you, because his divine power, this is Peter, his divine power has given us, the same guy later writes this down.
Unbelievable.
His divine power has given us everything we need for life and godliness. So if Jesus calls you to walk on the water, then you better start stepping. And if he believes that you can do it, then you got to believe that he believes that he has given you what you need to do it.
That's
so
good.
do it. Mm-hmm. So write the song. And then you get to like Acts 5. It's Gamaliel's advice. They arrest Peter and John for healing people in Jesus' name, and they whip them. And then the guys running around this healed. They're like, what are we going to do? We got to let them go. And they're like, hey, y'all got to stop. Y'all can heal people. Everybody loves to get healing. You just got to quit with the Jesus stuff. And Peter and John, in front of the Sanhedrin, who just had Jesus killed, go, you do whatever what you think you got to do, but we can't stop talking about what we have seen and heard. Gamaliel is the head of the Pharisees. He comes in and he's like, hey, here's what I think. And everybody shuts up because he's the dude. And he goes, just let him go. They're like, what? He goes, yeah, just let him go. They're like, why? And Gamaliel goes, well, there's only one of two options here. If it's not from God, this thing's going to fizzle out anyway. And he gives a list of people that had tried to start things that didn't work. And he goes, but that if this is the Lord, you can't stop it. And you don't want to fight against God. Mm-hmm. So Gamaliel's advice is a faith-filled way to approach a thing that you don't know. You think God's called you to do it, so just do it. Mm. And if God ain't in it, it won't work, and you can do the next thing. Mm. But if he is in it, you can't stop it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's the other verse? John 2:5?
Do whatever he tells you to do. That's it, man.
That's good.
That's, yeah, I mean, that, because I think the other thing that people run into is they feel like they know what God wants them to do, but they're scared to do it in case it's not what God wants them to do. And so what you're saying in that is like, try it. If it's not.
That's a good point. And I don't know that I've experienced that, but I have had a lot of people come up to me since a lot of people have heard my story and go, how do I know what
same.
God wants me to do?
Yeah.
Like, yes, go.
Exactly. And I've heard you say that a million times. That's what I was going to say.
You got to really pray.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Like that. Here's what you got to trust. You're like, all right, Lord, we're praying. I'm praying. I'm reading your word. I'm getting wise counsel. This is the direction I think that you were calling me to go. It's in alignment with the Great Commission and what the scripture says. But Lord, if this isn't you, I need you to send a big fish and swallow me up and puke me out where we need to be. I mean, bro, good. The way they filled Judas's spot for the apostles, they narrowed it down to 2 people and they cast lots. But they prayed about it. And they're like, all right, Lord, you're in charge.
Yeah.
Snake eyes, you're in. 6 you're up. Congratulations, Malthus, you're in. Other guy, nobody will ever know your name. That's what happens.
And God will also never call you to something that goes against what he's called you to already. Right.
Like, I was going to say, like, I also use the pray, guess, go. I've thought a lot about this, and you just said you got to really pray, but you got to really guess. You, like, to that point, you got to be. It's got to be. It's got to meet a certain set of circumstances, and then you have to really go. That's the other part. Like, you can't just, all right, I'm going to give this a week.
Yeah.
You know,
and for me too, when I prayed that prayer that I prayed, I wasn't like, God, I wasn't like making a bet with God, like you got to do, got to. Yeah. It was just, I was out of desperation, like, God, I know there is something. I need you to. Can you tell me? I need you to tell me. And but I wish everyone could have that moment.
Your story is not. A lot of people get into that situation and they're broke. And they're in a position that they hate. And you know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
It is a prayer of absolute, like, I hate everything. You and I were in a good place.
Yeah.
But we still were broken.
Yeah.
But God was just preparing you so that you could make the decision. So here's the thing. In John chapter 3, Nicodemus comes to Jesus asking a bunch of questions. At one point, after Jesus talks about being born again and all that stuff, makes a couple of Old Testament references. Then he says, look, Nick, man, the Spirit's like the wind. Jesus says the Spirit of God is like the wind. You can't predict its direction. You can't even see it. You can only feel its effects. And so the life of the faithful believer is like a sailboat. You need a rudder, which is the Bible, for direction, and you need to set the sail, which is the Spirit, for the power. If all you got is rudder and no Spirit, you ain't going nowhere. But if you got just Spirit and no rudder, you're gonna get shipwrecked.
Yep.
And so both of those things work together.
That's good.
What has happened in Nashville since you've made this switch? Like, have people come to you for?
It's been wild. I mean, the people that have reached out and honestly, people that I would have never in a million years would like reach out, about, this specifically, or just go, man, I'm so proud of you, or, thanks for doing, whatever it was, such an encouragement, really. I mean, like, your story is so encouraging and has challenged me to do the same. This past week, dude, we have this event in Nashville. It's called Believers, and it's a Christ-centered get-together for people in the music industry. And we had one this past Tuesday night, and I've never spoke. I definitely wouldn't call it preaching, but like, I've never got up and this past Tuesday I did for the first time. And dude, I prepared like a whole, I guess it was a sermon. I don't know. It was, tons of scripture, but did that for the first time this past week in front of a bunch of music industry folks on Tuesday night. And I titled it Hopes and Dreams, because everybody in that room moved to that town chasing something. And I said, I bet most of you probably didn't move to this room chasing Jesus. I know I didn't. But man, he's been chasing me the whole time. And the hopes and dreams that you moved here to chase will never satisfy you, fully satisfy you. They won't. I mean, they're awesome for a little while.
Sure.
And they are. But they will never fully satisfy you. And that is the hope that we're truly after.
You know how you watch a movie, and at the very beginning of the movie, it has a guy and he's doing something, and it stops and it says, I bet you're wondering how I got here.
Oh, yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that is that's essentially what our testimonies are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's almost,
Sure.
I bet you're wondering, like, if you knew me 15 years ago and you hadn't seen me since, I bet you're wondering how the heck I got here. And that,
and I would
just, as you were saying,
and I would just say, blame Jesus.
yeah.
Amen.
That's exactly what a testimony is, though, isn't it?
That's it.
For sure. 100%.
That's really cool.
Yep.
That's really cool. Where do you see, like, since you've gotten into this, what are maybe some preconceived limitations or things that you thought were there that you realize aren't there in the music industry? Like, I guess what I'm saying is Christian music becoming more of a mainstay, a staple in music in general? Because it seems like it is.
Yeah.
And again, I'm always sensitive to my algorithm. I know that things are like, coming to me because I listen to
exactly.
them. But I don't know, man. It seems different than it did 15 years ago. When
even like the number of baseball players that walk out to worship music.
Yes,
100%.
Yeah,
100%. I mean, dude, it's unbelievable that what is, people that are being more outspoken. I mean, there's a songwriter. I'm actually down here right now I'm playing a songwriters festival, and there's probably 40 songwriters from Nashville down here playing this festival. And last night, dude, we're watching the draft, and we were a guy sitting there, and he brings you up, and I'm like, this is a guy that I've known for probably 10 years, dude. 5 years ago or 6, 7 years ago, he would have never brought you up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's sitting there, he's asking me questions. And fortunately, because he was like, man, I'm where you were probably 2 years ago. And I'm like, well, dude, like, because he was like, I was able to give him some answers. And I was like, I in that moment, I was like, yeah, man, I'm able to do this because 3 years ago, I was caught with what felt like my pants down because I could not respond. I could not answer this question. I could. It's a pick up your cross daily. You know, follow me. Pick up your cross. Deny yourself. You know, like that. That is. You have to do that.
Yeah.
That's not. You can't just go. Well, I'll do it tomorrow. You know, you have to decide to do that today. You know,
and that's so funny. I think I told you this, Joby, and I hope they don't get mad at me for saying this, but you know, when I got into this, I have two partners in the quarterback training side that are like I would die for them. They are, I love them to death, and they're amazing guys. But forever it was like, okay, I want the chance to talk to them about this. And it's so funny, man. Like, you got to be careful, because then I found myself at Carson's Pro Day, me and those two guys just sitting on the back porch with a bottle of whiskey for 3 hours talking about it.
Yeah.
And that same thing the whole time, like, I'm just kind of praying, like, God, your words, not mine, your words, not mine, your words, because I don't know what I don't know. Like, I just don't
100%.
know. But it's another thing. That's another, you know, if you want to call it sign, it's just like, man, that don't happen by accident.
For sure. And
nothing will disciple you like making a disciple.
That's right.
Nothing
Come on.
deep in your walk with Jesus is like helping other people discover theirs.
Yep. And let me look in the camera. Sorry about the whiskey, people, but you know,
I think too, like,
As long as it's good.
I forgot what I was going to say.
sorry.
No, you're good.
Apologizing about the whiskey.
But for sure, on the disciple front, I mean, nothing will disciple you like.
I'm trying to make one.
Yeah, I know. That's been, and that's, I think that's where it kind of I am now, as far as like, you know, what is next for me. I have no idea. I really have no clue. I'm just going to write these songs. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I think, honestly, when God, through my manager, Cappy, was like, you're going to be a Christian artist and you're going to sing songs about Jesus, he also did not at the same time say, you need to stop writing country songs. I think God has me in that world, and he has you in this in your world for a reason. And man, I mean, if I quit writing country songs and quit coming and doing Country Songwriters Festival, I would have never had the conversation I had last night.
That's right.
Right.
Like,
that's a great point.
Like, how am I going to disciple folks in this world if I'm not in that world?
This dude is so good. I mean, everybody sounds good on the radio, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we were at a thing. I was at a thing in Nashville a few weeks ago with Fellowship Adventures that Jeff Moore runs, that JP works for now. I talked about that a lot. And Jeff had invited a few singer-songwriters to sit up there and sing their songs. And there's like two Christian groups and Drew. And dude, they're great. These people are great. And they're like worship leaders at their church. I mean, they're great. They had some great songs. And they'd written some great songs and all of that. No shade whatsoever. But when this dude did his thing, it was like an NFL football player and a high school football player. I mean, just everything, bro. And it's weird because I've known you for so long, and I've seen you play Everbank, but I've never and I've seen you lead worship in here, but then you still got this whole band. And I mean, you know, honestly, everybody sounds good up there. But dude, this dude just sitting on a stool with a guitar and a microphone. And what this joker can do with just a guitar and that voice.
Yeah.
You're just like,
I love that.
And then my favorite part of the whole night is this couple. I think it was with the couple. Anyway, one of the other two, like, church-based Christian artist people, they tell this story about the song and then they start singing it. And at one point, Drew, to talk about his humility, he just gets his phone out and he starts recording them. And I'm watching a guy that's played Everbank with Luke Combs now, just getting his phone out and loving what some other people are doing for the glory of God.
Cool.
There was no competition.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just beautiful.
Yeah. I wonder, like, when you write a song now, is the goal still the same as it was when you were writing country songs? You're trying to make